There are approximately 700,000 people that are going to get out of prison every year in America. And so just think to yourself, would it be better to have an ex-offender on the streets with a job or without a job?
You know, as a kid, I was always in the street. I grew up without my parents. I went to prison at the age of 17. I did 7 years. I came home, and I came home with the messed up attitude. No GED, no nothing. Just came home with something that, well, I'm gonna go chill with my boys for nothing, because I went back to prison. I decided, well, you know what? I'm getting older. I'm a grown man. Now it's time for me to show and prove, you know? I know my wife, my kids want to be happy, and they want me to go on a different road. So I'm gonna go on this different road, and I wanna see personally this outcome. And the outcome is beautiful. I have 2 vehicles, I have a home, and I have a beautiful dog. I'm happy. To have a job when you get out of prison, it's like a gift. It's like having a child, your first time, because it's something new, something brand new. And then when you learn the skill in that specific job, you don't know how to leave it. You don't know what else to do, and you don't want to go back to what you used to do because you already know what's the outcome of that.
There's something about when you see a man want something so bad that he will break down and weep because the love of his child, and that's all he wanted. But you know how the pressure can mount up. Mom's coming at you from this, and the court's coming at you from this, and you know, the family's coming at you, you feel the pressure, you got this little guy, this young lady looking up at you saying, Dad, why is everybody so mad at you? And all he wants to do is be your father.
A guy just getting out of corrections, and this kind of gets me a little upset. A guy getting out of corrections, pretty much what he's handed is just his belongings, and that's it. You know, some of these guys, they get dropped off, they're walking around in the jumpsuits, and they have absolutely no idea where they're going, what they're doing, nothing. They don't even have their ID. We start from scratch, and we teach them how to reinvent themselves. Not just as far as getting the job and everything else, but just as a person. It's just amazing to see the transformation from a guy who first comes running into my office talking about, oh, I'm gonna get locked up if I don't pay my child support, and he's panicking, and he's like, and I can't get a job, and nobody will give me a break, and he keeps tagging himself as, I'm an ex-offender, I'm a felon, and nobody wants me because of my felonies. And they're so mentally beat down. I mean, they're out of the jail, but they're still incarcerated up here when they first come to us. But then to see the transformation to that guy getting his dignity back, he becomes a man. As they start developing themselves, and this is the cool part, where you see that light bulb go off, where they actually realize that self-investment actually works, then you can't stop these guys. You know, the first step with employers is just, you know, you're going to have to extend that opportunity to these guys, or else obviously it's guy's going to become a reoffender.
We are building in America an entire underclass of people who are or have been in prison. Right now we're up to 1 in 100 Americans are or have been in prison. That is adult Americans, 1 in 100. It's so far over the top.
I missed a lot of my important years. I didn't go to prom. I actually have a daughter whose birth I missed. I want to make things easier for me to be with her, as well as my living situation, my job situation. I want to be a lot more stable. I've been living so positive and with such a positive mentality. I say to myself, if I can just get that chance to just meet that person, I can so show them so much more than that application. But as soon as they see that record, they're like, there's so many more applicants.
It's the new scarlet letter A. You know, if you're an ex-offender and you go and apply for a job, the first thing you see in an application, if they write it down, is that there's a previous conviction. If automatically they're now labeled for the rest of their lives about finding employment and getting jobs. If people can't work, if they can't find employment, they will do other things to support their means.
A majority of the guys that I know in prison do have a desire to come home and work. They don't want to go back to selling drugs. They don't want to go back to doing, crime. But sometimes they feel like that's all that's available. Not being able to get employment, not being able to, find housing or to be reconnected with family in a very healthy way. When you give an ex-offender an opportunity to work, it does benefit the whole community. And in my case, it takes me from off of the streets. It takes me from out of that element of feeling like, I have to revert back to some of the negative behaviors that I once was involved in. Being employed, yeah, it does boost my esteem and my confidence. Does make me feel like I'm a contributing member of society. And it feels great to know that at the end of the day, that's what I'm giving. I'm giving the best I got, and the results are showing up in my grades. Right now I'm averaging a B, and so I'm very proud. We just had a midterm and I got a B, so I was actually very excited about that.
Once they see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's a sense of relief. Not only is it a sense of relief, but it's a new beginning for them. And that's all that they want, is an opportunity to actually be that productive member of society so they can continue to provide for their family, absolutely. And we encourage that 100%.
I started as a lawyer in 1985, and then I became a prosecutor in 1986. And in the 80s, the prison population fluctuated between 4,000 and 5,000 inmates. By mid-2006, that number had almost reached 20,000 inmates, which is a 300% increase over the 22 or 23-year period. We've learned that Connecticut is one of only 5 states that spends more money per capita on Department of Corrections than the educational system. I was a law enforcement officer, sworn prosecutor for the state of Connecticut from 1986 until 2007, and my job was to prosecute offenders, both small and large, and recommend sentences to the judge and try cases. And based on my addiction, which was a gambling addiction, I chose, unfortunately, made bad decisions to break the law by committing larceny, by misappropriating funds, which have all been paid back, but the crime was done. And so my crime was one of a public trust violation. I'm one of the very, very fortunate ones in that because I did have a lot of education, I did have 21 years with the state, I was fortunate enough to, when I got out of prison, I went back to my old employer at an automobile dealership, and then I was able to parlay my part-time legal work into a full-time position, which I just started on September 14th as a litigation paralegal. So I consider myself very fortunate that I was able to be released and immediately go back to work and have a productive work environment where I can save my house, my children, we're living home, we're going to meetings, we're going to counseling, we're getting treatment, and we're paying taxes.
It's very overwhelming to just, be dropped into here are your children, and I have to get acquainted. It's like, getting acquainted with them all over again. They're older. A lot of things have changed. You have to have some type of savings in order to provide to the children. And so I had fears of that, fears of not finding a job, not having the basic necessities so that I can take my children back and be a mother to them. But thankfully I was able to find employment and someone did give me a chance, and because of that it changed the whole entire situation. I was able to save money, I was able to provide at times for my children when the people that had them, had custody of them, needed help. I was able to show my kids that I was working and be a good model to them. I was able to get back out into society and work and feel like I was, doing something productive and I wasn't such a bad person, and I'm blessed. I'm very blessed to have that. I'm very lucky that someone gave me a chance.
Our 3 feeder agencies for our program are STRIDE, STRIVE, and Family Reentry. These are 3 very well-established, well-funded, properly operating social service agencies here in the state of Connecticut. Their job, through what they do, is to help ex-offenders to make the transition from incarceration to reentry.
It's a lot of one-on-one, not only with the employer to make sure that's a success for that ex-offender, but also for that ex-offender, and it's usually a significant other, could be a child, because if that whole family succeeds, then that whole ex-offender will succeed in their life.
They continue to work with me even now, while I'm working on the job. They continue to question me, they continue to counsel me, they continue to work between me and the employer to find, ways of making my my employment status even stronger.
The good thing about Strive is that if you focus and you put yourself into it and you want to do right with them, when you come out and you go for an application, you go for a job and you actually get a job, well, you energize, you want to show these people, you want to show the boss, the big people that, wow, this guy came out of prison, but look at him go. This guy came out of prison, but he's honest, he's on time, he's working, I haven't missed a day yet, in 20 months, 28 months.
Many of these people have not ever been a part of a pro-social network. And when they come out and they have an opportunity to actually work and get paid, they have a deep appreciation so they can be among the most dedicated employees you can imagine. And I don't know that theoretically. I know that because employers have told me that.
I just found them to be so grateful for the work and so loyal to us as a company as a result of their employment. They were grateful and I was all the more grateful. It made wonderful business sense, by the way. It's not because I'm such an altruistic and wonderful person. It made great business sense for me to make this decision.
Although we're a government agency, we're a real estate company, and basically the ability to paint a contract, which is the last thing you do before you rent it, is important. So any delay in the startup of painting and the completion of the painting, in effect, is pushing back the occupancy of that apartment. If they said they were going to come, we gave them 72-hour notice, 48-hour notice, they were there, they did it efficiently, clean, got in, got out, and basically from that perspective, it was good or better than most of the contractors we've had.
The boss said today, he looked at me, he said, don't you, every time I look at you, you're always working, don't you got nothing else to do? That's a joke, but because that's what they see me, that's all I do. I'm working, I always keep the work, I don't know, I guess I want them to say, he's the best. So you gotta try to be the best so somebody could say he's the best, and so I guess that's my challenge.
I don't know sometimes whether I'm coming or going, but with work and all that, it's a huge challenge, but I'm doing it, and it's a good feeling, and my kids are seeing me do it, and they're proud, they're happy, just to have me home, and in time it'll just get easier.
It is a challenge every day to be in a classroom with a bunch of kids who are young enough to be my children, but at the same time they're looking up to me and they're saying, wow, he's still pressing every day, and I'm saying to them, never think it's too late, don't ever think the worst of yourself, no matter how bad it is. If you keep pushing, you can make it.
We can do all the programming in the world in the facilities, and unless it's not followed up by assistance in the community, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. So what's vital is that we have to forge those relationships. We have to ensure that all the gains we've made in the facility can be sustained in the community.
They're not looking for a handout, they're just looking for an opportunity. That they're not looking for special privileges, they just want to be considered as you would consider anyone else for a job. And when they're considered for that job, when they get that job, everybody wins.
I'm a father, I'm a husband.
I'm a student.
I'm a former lawyer and an usher at a local church.
I'm a loving mother and a homeowner.
I'm a hardworking man who was given a chance to shine.
All we need is an opportunity.
For more information on Prodigal Project or Malta Prison Volunteers of Connecticut, please visit our website at www.mpvct.org, or you can write to us at P.O. Box 481, Southport, Connecticut 06890. Thank you.